Hey guys, I hope you guys are good. Sorry, I'm doing this at my hotel, so sound might not be as great as usual. But we're gonna have a really good conversation about Ready to Love. It's crazy. Ready to Love, Make a Move, episode 2. I'm gonna just quickly more recap with Shareese and Zadia. We'll have a super panel on Sunday. We can have a bit more of a conversation. But I just feel like this is a perfect example of what I mean when I tell you guys that people are not learning from their previous experience. People are not learning from their previous experience. Zadia and Shareese, Ashley, Venetia have the opportunity to do this show twice. But specifically talking about Shareese and Zadia, they've had the opportunity to change certain behaviors that have made them, I don't want to say undesirable, but undesirable is the best word, but in some sense, less combative in their scenarios. Both Zadia and Shareese, in their respective seasons, had issues when it came to arguments, debates, fights, aggressive behavior on both parts. And yet we're back here again with a separate season where you guys are actually in control. You get to tell people what it is. And we're still having the same old issues. Both Shareese and Zadia now went at each other on this episode. Now, we can say which side we've fallen, but I don't think that's really important. What's important is that both of these people are back here again at square one, doing the exact same thing they did previously on other seasons. So let's have a real conversation, because I think there's a lot to discuss. Like, I'm not doing it on my normal, I'm not doing my normal sitting. So if I do look down, it's just because my laptop is down. So it's just easier for me to be able to do look down and see some of the comments that you guys have as well. So if you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, really know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there are hot, okay? Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. You feel what I'm saying to you? Yeah. Okay. My God. By the way, obviously as well, guys, if you haven't joined us already, we've got a membership as well. We're trying to get to 100K. We'd love for you guys to support the channel and help us along the way. We really do appreciate that. And if you want to join the membership, it's £1, $1. Join the family. I've got a special live on Tuesday night that I really want to do with you guys. I was talking with some of the UK panelists, and a conversation came up, and I want to have a real conversation on Tuesday night. So I want you guys to join us. We're going to be talking about triggers and being triggered. And as I was talking to the guys from the UK panel, they made me think about a situation which you guys have heard me speak on several times, myself and Sean, and we've spoken about how at points in time during Married at First Sight season, Zach and Michaela, they triggered us in a different way. And specifically me personally, I was in a particular situation at the time, and that really did trigger me. So I want to have a real conversation about triggers, about abuse, about manipulation, because that's what's been done. We saw Nikki and Jamie just the other day as well. So there's real conversation we need to start having. And so membership live, make sure you join the membership live. It's going to be wavy on Tuesday night as well. I think we're going to do it around about 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. EST. So we'll do that as well. And then we'll have an Ask Kojo session after. So you guys can come give your, if you've got dating problems or dating advice that you need, we have an Ask Kojo session after that on Tuesday night before I go to Jamaica. All right, cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Shareese and Zadia on this particular season. I've had the pleasure, the honor, and also the fun and the grace to be able to have an interview both with Zadia and Shareese. Both Ashley and Venetia, also the two I never actually got to interview, which is really interesting as well. And both Zadia and Shareese are so intriguing. I was even going back through my interview with Zadia, and I was like, one thing I really do have to applaud Zadia for is being open to coming on the channel to discuss it, because she knew I had fired her all season, and she ain't gonna get it easy when she come on this channel, right? And I have to applaud Zadia for that. She took it on, she came on, and she shared. She didn't just she didn't just come on the channel. She came on, she shared her past, she shared what she had been through as a kid. And I really did find some grace for Zadia, because I was like, oh, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, you know? If you haven't gone and watched it, go and watch it. I've even put the timestamps on, you can check it. There are specific things that have happened to Zadia that I think I don't know how aware she is of how they've affected her into why she is the way she is today. But there was a lot of sharing that she did, which was really powerful, that made me understand, okay, I get why you acting the way you're acting right now. And similar enough, when I interviewed Sharice, Sharice was slightly different. It was more inverted with Sharice. At first, there was a guard. Oh, there was a solid guard. With Sharice, she gave me exactly what she gave on the show, which is, you ain't getting in here. Like you ain't coming in here. I'm gonna let you know, you ain't allowed to come in here. This personal space, oh baby, you ain't allowed in here. You know what I mean? And I got that immediately from Sharice when I was doing her interview. But once I asked her the question by the end, I said, hey, Sharice, look, I feel like you're giving me a guard up. What's the issue? And then that's when the guard just came down and she just started to share and she started to be open and be transparent about her, her dealings and what she had been through. And, it just really started to open up in that conversation. I think Sharice's interview is one of the most beautiful interviews I've done because you see the progression. You see that beginning and then the softening up. So, again, I got love for Shareese and I got love for Zadia too. I mean, listen, I know we're still beefing Zadia, but I still got love for you. Plus you're still fine. And I ain't gonna never be mad at that. But I think it's obvious that these two are two giants in a small space. And when you have two giants as they are in a small space who are combative, which is our favorite word this season now because of Ready to Love, Dallas, who are both combative, they're ready to fight. They're ready to go at it toe to toe, defend themselves, be on their attack, then this was inevitable. Now, episode 2, it doesn't surprise me because in all honesty, both of these parties want control, right? And there are things that both of these people did that I was like, what are they doing? I mean, I know it's you, but what are you doing? Are you not having an introspective moment to look around and see? Okay. And I think that also is also instinct. So let's break it down to what happened. I would have provided clips, but I think on this occasion, I don't know if the setting will allow me to do that because I think it might. Hold on, let me see. I don't want to slow down my screen for you guys. You might not be able to. Yeah, I can't. I don't want to do that. Okay, let me go to my notes. You have to do it without. So unfortunately, we won't do no video tapes because I want to slow down. I think one of the key parts that was intriguing for me in the beef is both of them are strong-willed. They're both fighters. They're both combative. Both got strong mouths. Shareese is picky. Zadia wants love, but rejects. But once it gets too close, rejects it because of the control. Shareese picky, but wants to control from the very beginning how they interact with her. And Shareese has a guard up. Zadia is open, but then once you come in and sit down, she wants to be able to want to control how you maneuver because she wants to protect herself. Fair enough. Now, here's my thing that happened, right? The situation started. Zadia and Marcus had a really good conversation. They're getting along, vibes. Did anybody notice the part where she went to steal Marcus from Shareese because she didn't like it? She became territorial, right? Did you see where Zadia went and took Marcus from Shareese? This is really important, right? They're not even deep yet, and we're already starting the madness. We're already starting the territorial behaviors. So went and grabbed him. Then when Zadia was walking in front of Marcus, Marcus had his hand on her shoulder. As he had her hand on her shoulder, she said, "Why's your hand on my back?" I said, "Oh." I said, "Let me take a drink. Let me take a drink. Let me take a sip." I'm gonna try and get some clips for you guys because that's a mazzoline. You need to see what I'm singing because when you see it, you understand what's going on, blood. Yeah, like when you see it, I was like, oh, okay, but I can't be mad at her. She's protecting her space, protecting her energy, and I'm not gonna be vexed at it. But it is what it is. Let me see if I can get. I think I can get a clip for you guys, right? So she made sure. I was like, okay, all right. She gonna make sure that you just can't come up in this space and do what you won't do. No siree. Okay.
No, yeah, I think
we
had a great conversation.
Cool. All right. Okay, I got it. Okay. Hold on. So let me get this for you guys. I just want to provide a clip. And also that situation with Marcus too was weird. Because hold on. The reason why I find it weird also too is because she actually spoke to Mark. She actually spoke to Marcus, and Marcus was like, "I'm not going to tell you about my past." And I was like, "Baby, why are we still? Why are we going to accept him? He doesn't want to tell you about his past. He said his past was for him to learn and for you not, and not for you." I said, "If that's the case, why are we here? Get the frick out." You know what I'm saying? Your past is definitely part of your present. So I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna tell you this, sir. It's also a part of your future too. I need to know about your past relationships. I'm sorry if I'm trying to date you and I start asking about your past relationships and you tell me it's not for you to know. Oh yeah, that's the time for me to go. Oh, is that the time? Oh, I got to go, because clearly you don't want me to be here. Clearly you don't want me to be in a relationship. God damn, my throat, boy. I gotta be careful. My throat is heavy. You know what I mean? Clearly you don't want me to be here. You see what I'm saying to you? Right? So for me personally, I'm looking and I'm going, that was a red flag anyway, but that's a little bit later on. Okay, look, I want you to, if I can play this clip for you guys so you guys can see it. All right, cool. So I'm gonna put the sound on so you guys can hear it and see it as well. This is what happened. I know the clip might be a little bit slow, guys, just because of this thingy, but just listen to this, listen to what she says.
Why you got your hand in my butt?
Inside.
Karen talking with Shareese.
Oh, baby. And I'll be clear, I apologize. I don't know if you guys heard it. Sorry, I keep saying Marcus, it's Cameron, isn't it? I apologize, guys. I keep saying Marcus, it's Cameron. Apologies, it's Cameron. My bad, guys. It's Cameron, not Marcus. I said Marcus, but it's Cameron, isn't it? My bad. It's Cameron. I apologize, guys. I just took my notes. It's Cameron. I apologize, guys. It's Cameron. Marcus, I'm sorry. I'm going to say Marcus, it's Cameron. Yes, she asked him, "Why is your hand on my back?" I said, "Oh," and I said, "Hey, listen, you know what? I absolutely hear it. You know, you're absolutely allowed to have your personal space." I was just like, it was a little bit sharp. The brother just had his hand on his shoulder, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, you know what? It is what it is, right?" But I was just like, again, it's about controlling her. Again, it's about the control aspect. So whilst you are allowed your personal space, and whilst you are allowed to make sure you control who touches you, it's just, again, that tone and just the way it's said. You know what I mean? Like, and again, for it, when you take into context everything that's happened with Zadia, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is political. Like, you don't want to see that situation, right? And old boy got sent to the gulag. Okay. The actual fight situation I have between Zadia and Shareese. Oh, another thing also with Shareese too. The part that frustrates me with Shareese also too is that she passive aggressive, and it's actually I called it out partly with Zoe when she had a fight with Zoe in the other season. Because whilst I didn't agree what Zoe did, I actually found it disgusting what he did. You know what I mean? What Shareese was doing was being passive aggressive and intentionally staying in a situation which is getting combative, and you put the pool cube in a brother's face. And I said, whoa, both Zadia and Shareese have these problems. Shareese got into Zoe's face. Don't get twisted. Zoe was wrong. Zoe was absolutely wrong. That season, if you ever watched it, Zoe was absolutely wrong. But the same thing happened, right? The same thing happened. That actually, when you watch the clip with Zoe and Shareese, she actually had the pool cube in his face first, and then it proceeds into what it proceeds into. But don't get twisted, Zoe was moving mad before that anyway. What am I saying? I'm saying that both of these parties have issues, and when it comes to being combative, getting into fight-flight situations, both of them run to the fight. They enjoy the debacle, the beef, the debates, the arguments, the aggressive energy. Both of them. Oh, both of them love it, right? So it's no wonder, again, that they had this beef in the house. Now, here's the first thing that is an issue. Being in a household, and I think it's also interesting, I think it's also an issue that the first thing that was a big thing was they had a house party, the men were in the kitchen, everybody was enjoying. But Shareese said that she felt uncomfortable having, I guess, and I want to make it very clear, can someone correct me in the chat? Is she uncomfortable with having men in the house or having men stay over? I want to make it very clear because I wasn't sure 100%. Okay? Just want to make sure 100% first and foremost. Was Shareese angry at was Shareese uncomfortable with having men in the house, or was she uncomfortable having men come over? Because as a group, collectively, they had the men come over, and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. Like, if you're all together, you're having a vibe, you're chilling, you're having conversations. I understand, you know what I mean? I more understood if it was about men staying over as well. So, okay. So, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a man, so it's slightly different for me. And so I may not see it the same way that ladies see it, right? I think because also I've had a situation quite recently that I know how it feels. So Sharice is one of 4 people in this house, right? And her voice trumped everybody else's voice. For me, I'm looking at it from my perspective, objectively. You know, you said that you don't want no men in the house at all. Why does your voice trump everybody else's? Now, of course, if they vote and they agree, then fine. But it seemed like Zadia didn't want that situation to happen. It gave a little bit of that, you know, maybe Sharice didn't necessarily have that issue. You know what I mean? And so there might have been a little bit of a problem there, right? And maybe potentially she felt like, you know, that Sharice's voice was trumping everybody else's without there actually being a vote. Because clearly, Ashley don't have a problem with it. Vern says she don't have a problem with it. Zadia said she don't have a problem with it. So it's like, if you're one person, you know, does that get to trump everybody else's voice? Right? That's what I'm asking. The question I'm saying, it's not about that she's wrong for having that request. She's not wrong for saying, hey, I personally don't want men in the yard. The question is, did the group agree? Right? And if the group speak on it, can they speak freely about how they feel? Maybe I disagree. You know what I mean? You know, because does your safety trump my safety? That's the question. And again, I'm from a male perspective, so I think it's slightly different for me as a male. For women, it might make a bit more sense. For me personally, I'm saying that if I disagree, what happens then? And because I've had a situation that happened, I also understand. Okay, you know, as well. So I'm given a perspective where I'm going to say I'm also understanding that I may not fully grasp and understand fully, but if we put it to the group and the group says oh, I'm cool, I don't mind, they're cool, they don't mind, but then obviously, of course, you know, it comes to a point where Sharice is saying what she's saying, Zadia's saying what she's saying. And I wonder if Zadia actually outwardly conformed, but inwardly disagreed, right? I wonder if that was the case. So outwardly you conformed and said, yeah, I'm good with it, I'm okay, all right, cool, we're gonna do that. But maybe inwardly, you know, would disagree, you know. I think that's what I'm gonna say, right? I think that may be a position as well, you know. So I would say that again, it may be, like I said, for women and men, it may be slightly different, and I understand that I will see it differently. But I think Zadia probably didn't agree, and then I think that comes out as passive aggressive energy later on. You know, comes out later on, right? Now, of course, no men was actually in the house, so they agreed to that. The other aspect that happens after that is that Zadia goes out. Zadia went out and chilled with a guy, and obviously came back and called Sharice. Now, we're going to assume that, you know what, she called Sharice and nobody else, right? It could have been that she tried to call Ashley or tried to call Vern, but they never mentioned that they had a missed call, right? They never mentioned that, you know, she tried to call them and they didn't listen. She just called Sharice first, right? Let's say she calls, sorry, she ended up calling Sharice, and Sharice the one that picked up. So now Sharice picking up, I get both parties here, right? I understand where both parties are coming from a perspective, which is, first and foremost, I gave you a call. I see where Sharice is coming from. No thank you, no please, no thingy. And I think Zadia has to be honest. The reason why she never has probably said any please or thank you in the calling of you, right, is because you're still pissed about their ruling earlier on, probably. Right? You're probably still annoyed about the about the earlier group decision where you felt like the group was okay with it. It was just Sharice. Do you get me? Right? That's initial situation, right? So obviously now, you know, so obviously now when she's calling Shareese, she hasn't given the gratitudes that are needed. Like, yo, bro, and I've been in it when I was in Ghana. I was staying with a friend, and obviously we had to call each other. It happened to us. When we went out at various times, we had to call each other. It's like, bro, I'm so sorry, or sis, I'm so sorry. Please, I know it's early, and I apologize. I hate even doing this. Can you open the gate for me? You get what I'm saying to you? We all had to do it, and I remember that was frustrating, like, you know, doing that, but you appreciate the fact the person's having to wake up from their sleep maybe 3 hours into their sleep, their REM sleep, and they're waking up and coming to open the gate for you, right? That's a common decency. Now, why would I not afford you common decency? I'm trying to piss you off. Zadia knows I'm pleasing the bank. She knows. Okay, all right. She's trying to piss you off. Yeah, Zadia's trying to piss her off, and she's annoyed at the fact that I think she was annoyed at the ruling. You get what I'm saying to you, right? I think she was pissed off at the ruling. You know, and again, because it's about power in the group, it's about the dominance in the group. Sharice's issue overtook Zadia's thing, because Zadia asked, "How do we feel about it?" I think she wanted, you know, comfortability. Hey, you got the guys in there, you know. So, you know, I understand. You know, I get that aspect too, right? So that's probably why Zadia didn't say anything. Now, moving forward, here's my thing that I don't rate. If I'm sure, and here's my thing I don't rate about Sharice. Why didn't you go to Zadia one-to-one and tell her, Zadia, you know what? You called the house and you didn't tell me, you know, sorry, you didn't say thank you or please. You didn't say those words to me. When you called the house, I felt frustrated. I was a bit annoyed because when you called up and I interrupted my sleep, you didn't say thank you or please, and it frustrated me. Sharice didn't do that. Instead, what Sharice did is that she went onto where the coach was and then brought it up. And actually, she does this twice. And I was like, Sharice, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's a good point. I like that, Barbara. That's a good point. Right? That should have been squashed beforehand. So, you know, when then obviously we get to the coach and then the coach is now saying, do we have any house rules or whatever. Sharice doesn't need to mention about the issue. She doesn't need to. There's no need to mention it, right? Because you haven't discussed it with Zadia. And so when you bring it up in that place in the way that you do, that's kind of disappointing, because you really should be trying to open up that conversation with her to get an understanding, right? You don't do it. Then I'm like, what's going on? Because then when they ask who was out late, why does Zadia lie? And I said, I know why. Because it goes back to what I said to Zadia when she did the interview. And I know it hurts to say this, but let me say it, fragile ego. When your person, and I said this in my review, when I did a post review about Zadia interview, and I said that there's a fragile ego, because the lie is about the personhood versus a person's behavior. The fear of being told off was greater than the actual situation, right? Because in reality, all she needed to say was, yes, I was out. And in fact, I was expecting Zadia to even be like, yes, I was out. And I was out too late. And I came back and I called you. What's the big deal? Do you get me? I expected Zadia to be like, I lied. I was out. I was with a guy. We was just talking. It is what it is. That's what I was expecting Zadia to do. And I remembered, but no. Right? So, you know, and that could be a good point. So I never thought about that. That could also be a good point as well, to avoid further line of questioning. That could be a good point. Never thought of that. Yeah, good point. That could be it too. You know, I was like, okay, I think, are you lying now because you're afraid of being told off? And by the way, people are afraid of being told off, or at least criticized, right? People don't like being lambasted. People don't like being told off. And I say this because when I was doing my interview with Zadia, I saw the same thing. Once we started, it was good. But the moment I decided to disagree is when the energy came out. And I was like, oh, now I'm getting in trouble. Now I was like, yo, you get what I'm saying to you? I'm being funny about it, but the reality of the situation was, from my experience, that's what I saw. It was only until I disagreed with Zadia that now the energy shifted. Okay. And so, yes, I think Zadia is afraid of judgment. I think she's afraid of critique in that way. And that is, again, because I said fragile ego, because, and I said to myself, I'm still learning how to come out of that place of fragile egos. Sometimes it's hard, right? Where you don't mix your personhood with behavior, and you assuming that because someone criticized your behavior, they're saying you're a bad person. You're not. You get what I'm saying to you? You're not. Your personhood is different from the behavior. But oftentimes, because of the way we've grown up, the way that we've been made to feel, the things that we've gone through, then of course, when someone makes that little bit of a critique, you know, I get it also, you know, I get that point. So I was like, oh, she lied. I was like, oh. So then that happens, and I'm like, okay, she didn't need to lie, you know, she didn't need to lie. She just needed to just get on with it and da da da. Then after, they go to the house, and they have the argument after. Now, well, actually before that, Sharice is talking to Cameron. No, is that after or before? Let me make sure. When they're talking to Cameron, I think that might have been after. So, no, it's definitely before. So she comes and takes Cameron off Sharice, because Sharice is talking to Cameron and getting too close and yaggy yags. So she makes her come and take over. But the house situation, I actually think that Zadia was doing really well. Can I be honest with you guys? I genuinely think that Zadia was actually really, you know, was actually being real until one point where she said, you know, you're not, that's because you're not for the girl code. And I was like, oh, but I actually think that Zadia was actually doing really well with the house conversation, you know, because I looked at it and I said, hold on a minute, you know, she's being really calm about it. She's actually talking through it, you know. Meanwhile, Sharice is kind of losing her rag a little bit. And I'm like, she's doing really well here. She's conversing. Hey, come on, Zadia. All right, this is it. We're getting somewhere. Do you know what I mean? There's growth here, you know. And, you know, so when obviously the conversation is kind of flowing, and then, you know, Sharice is kind of saying her thing. I get it. Listen, you know, the first part was that Sharice was provoking Zadia. I have to be honest with you. Okay? I have to be honest with you. Oh, someone said they want my shirt. It's not even mine, you know. I would love to say it's mine. It's a shirt that I got from Ghana Pioneer Park. Probably have to make one for you guys. But yeah, no, literally, you know, that Sharice was trying to passively aggressively trigger Zadia. And I saw that and I said, wow. Because Sharice talks a big game about all the fighting she be doing. But really and truly, Sharice is a passive aggressive kind of person. She really is somebody who likes to poke and prod and poke and prod. And I was like, wait, oh, slam dunk. I was like, I saw this, but I didn't see it. And now I'm seeing it. You know what I mean? I saw it before, but now I'm really seeing it. Like, oh, you really are passive aggressive in the way you move. And you really do be prodding and poking. Oh, okay. Oh, you know. So when that conversation, before it even starts anywhere, why is Sharice saying that me and Cameron had a great conversation? We're talking about, you know, business, and you can see that you know what Sharice is doing. You know what you're doing, Sharice. Why are you doing that? If you want to have a conversation, go and have a conversation. Why is it you have to start the argument to have the conversation? And that is a failure to communicate. And also, you know, me personally as well, it's about not being able to express yourself. It's about not being able to express yourself. Yeah, it's very passive, right? It's about a failure to express yourself. Sharice's inability to really communicate how she feels vulnerably is what causes that. You know? Like Sharice's Sharice's nature is that she can't communicate very well her emotions. She can't communicate. She's turned off at the emotional aspect. It's very hard for her to communicate how she actually feels. So you know what she does? She passively aggressively pods and probes the person so she can tell the person in anger how she feels. The anger is the catalyst to being able to express how she really feels. And there are many people like this who have a failure to express themselves, who use anger as the moment they tell you the truth. Because they're afraid of actually sharing vulnerable moments with you and telling you how they actually feel. All that Sharice had to do was say, hey, Zadia, let me talk to you. My bad. You know what? I said some stuff in front of the couch. I should have said to you one-on-one. I apologize, right? I want to let you know that how I felt was I felt unsafe. The reason why I told you I didn't want no guys in the house because I felt unsafe being in a house with other men. There's some things that happened to me, and you know, I wanted to make sure that I was safe in this household. That's all. Then at that point, Zadia can be like, oh, I didn't even know. I wasn't even aware of that. My bad. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? You know, and I'm sorry to maybe it might get sorry, it might not get sorry. Who knows? But that's about effective communication, right? And if you do it to your friends, you're definitely going to do it to your partner. Right? If you do it to your friends, you're definitely going to do it to your partner. So the fact that she, again, Asian, she doesn't have to even share that though. You don't have to go into detail. The whole point is it's not about going into detail. It's again, you don't have to share what's actually going into detail. You can just say, hey, some things have happened. I'm not ready to share it right now, but I want you to understand there has been some things. This is why I didn't want to have men in the household. That's how you protect your peace. You do not have to describe what you went through. It's very important we learn how to be able to communicate these things, because if we don't, people are going to misunderstand you. And when they misunderstand you, you're going to have mad arguments over stuff that doesn't need to be argumented. And after a while, people only have a certain level of compassion and empathy and willingness to understand you and let things go before they say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of your ass. Right? So she doesn't even have to even tell us on the screen. She doesn't have to do it on TV. You can tell them behind the scenes, but you ain't communicating that at all. Hence why the blow-ups are happening. Right? There's a tactful way of delivering information in a particular way where you don't have to share every single detail. Because some things are actually sacred and some things are not for TV and some things are not for everybody. I totally understand. And it may not have been for Zadia also. You know, it may not have been for Zadia also. And I appreciate that. All it needed in that moment was to say, hey, look, there's some things that have happened. I want to make sure that I'm safe. This is how it affects me. You know what I mean? Communicate that. You know, communicate that. Let the person know Wagwan for what it is. You know, and so, yes, now we, you know, the situation now, respect for that, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, I know. The wild gone thing. I appreciate that, James. I'm gonna have to make a little top. It seems like you guys really like it. I appreciate that, James. Thank you. You know, so this argument could have been avoided. This argument could have been avoided. I promise you, it could have been avoided. It could have really been avoided, and it could have been different if people come into the conversation wanting to communicate. It's tough. I mean, again, also, let's say that, for instance, it is about the waking up situation. It's only focused on the fact that, obviously, sorry, I kind of read into it. I said, let's say, for instance, Sharice is annoyed that she had to wake up in the middle of the night. Say, hey, look, Zadia, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. My sleep is really important. I get grouchy, I get annoyed, I get pissed off when I haven't had enough sleep. And I just felt like it was inconsiderate at the time to call me and not say anything. And I should have told you at the time that this is what affected me, and I felt like I couldn't share it for one reason or another, and I apologize in that aspect. I want to let you know this is how I feel about the situation. I just don't like being woken up in the middle of the night. That's it. You communicate effectively, you let the person know, right? Because in that moment, for a lot of the conversation, Zadia was actually having a conversation, right? And what happened was that instead of Sharice receiving it, she compounded it further because she wanted to pummel it into the ground. I'm like, Sharice, it's okay. Now, of course, the part where maybe I said, Zadia, come on, is when she said, you're not part of the sisterhood. I said, hey. I was like, yo, come on, man. I was like, that's going to definitely send her over the edge when you call her not part of the sisterhood. Not you saying not a part of the sisterhood. I said, oh, damn. And that's when I knew there probably was going to be a problem in that respect. So, yeah, I saw that and I said, look, this ain't it. Yeah, I just knew that was going to pop up after that. I knew that it wasn't going to go well. After that, no matter what was said, it was not going to go nicely. The conversation where it needed to go was no longer going to be about friendship and trying to build that relationship. It was going to be a beef from then onwards, right? And I have to be fair, I think to myself that let's work on both of these people's sides. It's not just Sharice, and it's not just Zadia either. It's both of them. You know what I mean? And I'm just watching it back again. I want to even see if you guys, because I'm watching it in silence and kind of watching the body language of how these people are behaving.
And I'm just like,
oh,
it can go down if you wanted to go down. I mean, I just feel like at my age, I don't really do much physical fighting. I look too good. I work too much to be getting any of this.
And I think to myself, like, every time these situations happen, I feel like there's something to learn. I think there's something to learn from both of these people, right? And I think that with Zadia and Sharice, if they can just get to a place where they can actually stop letting their nervous system lead the conversation, if they can stop the nervous system from leading the conversation, then maybe we can get somewhere. But so long as the nervous system is leading the conversation, there's always going to be an issue, because you're going to be reacting on fight or flight mode rather than being in a more mature place where you go, I can observe my feelings right now. And right now, let me be very honest with you, this ain't the best time to share this information because I'm going to be reactive and I'm not going to be able to react appropriately. Right? So both Sharice and Zadia are a problem in this instance because they both don't realize that they're in the same position once again. Yeah. So we've got another like 20 minutes or so. Let me put the link in the chat for you guys. If you want to join, I'll give it to the guys first. If they want to join quickly and say their piece on Zadia and Sharice. We'll do a super panel on Sunday, but just on Zadia and Sharice, if you have any thoughts on them, and if you want to have your say, I think it'll be cool. But if you do, because I just think to myself, like, these people, I want them to learn. I want them to grow. I want them to be better. I want them to be in a better position. Zadia's going to therapy. I think Sharice doing that too. I want y'all to grow. Like, this is not cute anymore. Like, we are grown. It's not cute anymore. Like, we have to actually keep it a buck. It's not cute anymore. Like, we're grown. it's not cute anymore. You feel what I'm saying to you? For me personally, I want to see growth. And hopefully we see that in the course of the show. That doesn't mean that we don't understand where they're coming from. That doesn't mean that we don't empathize, but it does mean that after a while, come on. Are we going to keep doing this behavior till, like, are we? Why always you two? You know, get someone else to do it. Don't get locked into wanting to fight fights that don't need to be fought, you know? You know, so for me personally, yeah, I just, you know, I think that's an important thing. And let me see if I can even, because I think there was a little bit more that was happening. Let me see if I can bring this up.
This morning that you had a problem with me waking you up, I would have already automatically apologized. So now all of a sudden we're bumping heads left and right, and that's not the case.
When you come off, that's how you are, because you're a mean girl. For the cameras, you try.
And I think that's just the key point there. If you just let her know, it would have been cool. But she didn't let her know, and now want to be for nothing. Sharice wanted to fight. So the last thing that Zadia needed there, the last thing that Zadia needs to do in that space was say, "Hey, look, you know what? I appreciate it. I don't think we're going to agree. I'm going to exit here." Look, like, you have to do different things. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Right? So I think, you know, key part here is this. The last thing that Zadia needs to do was like, you know what? I appreciate it. I just don't think we're going to agree. So I'm gonna leave it here. You get what I'm saying to you? I'm trying to charge up. Hold on. So yeah. So for me personally, that was a big thing too. So I'm not you know, I'm not vexed at what Zadia did in the last part of it, because I think she did a really good job. I think if, and let me take back what I said, there has been growth then, because in this situation she didn't turn it into a beef. In this instant, she actually apologized and said, "If you just let me know, I would have known." Do you know what I mean? Now, the last thing that Zadia could have done, to be honest with you, is just walk away. That was it. Other than that, that's all it needed. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Jay's there. So let me mute my mic.
I want to make sure you can hear me. Okay. Just a few quick things I'll say. As far as house rules, you know, you go into the house with strangers, and you know, we did this before, Coach, where we kind of all stayed at the Airbnb in Atlanta before. Sometimes you go through house rules. Sometimes it's automatic. Sometimes it's not. Generally, with a group of women, safety is the number one rule. Safety is number one rule. So no matter how we have to establish that rule, that's general, the conciseness. So nobody's going to usually argue against the safety. And usually that means, you know, bringing outside strangers in, regardless of male, female, generally against males for the most part. We don't even question why it is out loud. Sometimes we might pull the person aside and be like, "You good? What's the issue?" if we don't know who they are. But that's general conciseness. Southern people, technically Zadia is Southern. Southern people is usually polite and nice and apologetic for disturbing people. So I'll just have to say Zadia in that moment was just being Zadia by not saying apologies for waking you up or thank you for waking me up. Generally, that's just a Southern thing that we're going to do. We got to show gratitude for somebody going out their way for doing something for us. So that was the least she could have did, but she didn't want to do it. I'm not going to pretend like maybe she didn't call the other girls first, but the fact that you just didn't say thank you or appreciate you for waking up, you know, apologies for disturbing your sleep or whatever the case may be, she did that on purpose. That part is definitely done on purpose, you know. As far as the lying, we're grown. Why are you lying? Everybody wants to claim grown. So why are we lying? Just say you was out all night. It's New Orleans. It happens. Listen, things be open up until the sun come up. It be open up until breakfast time. You was out all night. You woke somebody up. I don't have to explain nothing further if I don't want to. Just like Sharice don't have to tell the details if she don't want to tell on why she don't want people in the house. I just don't want people in the house. I was out all night. We're grown. And the last thing I'll say before Sean jump in is if a person's not being combative with you, chill. Just have your conversation. It's easier and received better when you're coming from a calm place than screaming at somebody. I tell y'all in a minute, you start screaming at me, my ears shut down, they shut off. I'm not listening to you no more. I'm trying to shut off what's going on in my head, meaning shut you the F up. So I'm not worried about what you saying no more. But if you tell me from a calm space, I'm more likely to receive what you're saying and understand it. Zadia was trying to remain calm. Sharice, calm yourself down. Don't matter if you irate or whatever, take a beat. You want to talk about this for the TV about, she's a mean girl and this, and she's only being polite for the TV. Well, take that cue because the cameras is on you now. I'll stop there. Go ahead, Sean.
What's up, everybody? So, yeah, no, well, first, we just got to shout out to Ashley because she maintained her frame, and we got to see a different side of Ashley, this episode. So, we appreciate her. But ultimately, yeah, this whole tete-a-tete with these two, I don't even know why it needed to happen this way. It could have just been a simple conversation. Parts of what they were talking about initially, we didn't even get to see. And I'm not even sure why Sharice needed to bring it up in front of Tamika, because the conversation originated off camera when the two, when all four ladies were just kind of talking about some house rules. So if the initial conversation was offline, you felt like something happened offline, address it offline with the person who you feel like had the infraction. So I think like Sharice, for whatever reason, wanted to embarrass Zadia. And although I really don't understand why she needed to lie about it, I think the best way to handle a situation like that when somebody is trying to call you out is to just take it head on. That way you tell your story and you don't allow the person to tell the story and drive the narrative. So say, hey, yeah, I did. I spent some time, blah, blah, blah. We did XYZ or whatever she wants to say or not say, but say, yeah, I was out and I came in, and yes, I called Sharice to let me in because I left my key or whatever the story is, and that way you clip it. But the lying put everybody in an uncomfortable position, and just kind of made it like now you're ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Just stand 10 toes down. This is what happened. This is what I did, and then you just take the wind out of Sharice's sails. So I wished that's what Zadia would have done. And similar to you, Kojo, I really thought she was just gonna do that. Ultimately, she chose not to. Now, Sharice, she's not gonna be outdone because um, all the ladies had the same conversation, not the same conversation, but all the ladies was like, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, but chose to not out Zadia. So now she's like, okay, now I'm gonna up the ante. So now she's gonna have a personal conversation with Cameron. I don't know how she's trying to provoke Zadia, because that's bad business. She did it in her face, and then she wants to have the conversation again in the kitchen. So we got to give Zadia a lot of credit, because she held back from going off on her, and she kept saying, "Oh, we had a great conversation. He asked me for business advice, ma'am." Ma'am. Cut the foolishness. This is not what you're trying to do. You're trying to provoke her. You're bringing this guy's name up. You're having these conversations, and ultimately, what you did was try to pull information out about why Zadia came home late, and that's a no-brainer. So to an extent, she did break the girl code in that she's talking to this guy that she knows Zadia is interested in, and then she's trying to run her business all around the streets, and now she's talking about it openly on camera when all these things did not happen on camera. So yeah, Sharice is moving mad, and it's about to be a madness.
Sean, you said a great point too. I would have flipped it off Sharice so quick, but she sat there trying to out me. for being out all night, I'd be like, yeah, I was respecting the house rules. You don't want no men in the house, so I was outside with the men's. Like, leave me the F alone, bro. I would, I'd have outed myself before she could out me.
No, listen, you guys have made some really great points as well. You know, and you know, I think you're right. You know, give credit where credit's due. You know, to Zadia for handling the kitchen situation the way she did. And also as well, just even, you know, I think you guys have been saying as well. I think we're grown people now, and I think Shawnee made a point which was really key as well, was that, you know, I didn't really even pick up it that way, but Sharice trying to embarrass Zadia in the space was kind of, that's really mean. You know what I mean? Like, there was just no need to do that. Like, what was the motivation for Sharice trying to embarrass Zadia in that particular way? What was the point? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, if she was out late, whatever, it was it was almost like an embarrassment at that point, because, like you said, the girls had agreed and said it wasn't me, and then you kind of do that. It's just like, it's a shame that's what happened in that respect. So, yeah, some good points. You guys can jump back in. Sorry. Oh.
Now, Sean, I'm trying to be respectful and let you go ahead.
Jay, cut it out. You better go ahead and talk, girl.
No, I ain't really have much else to say about it because I think I got most of my points out. It's just, you know, there's little growth in Zadia, but I'm not going to say that she can't have conversations because she sat down with you, coach. So, you know, she can do it. We've seen her sit down and not really go back toe to toe with people that came at her from time to time. We just had that outburst when it came to Donta. And I'm going to call him Donta on purpose. But what you, what you, I got
Don't
to
you
give it
wish your
back.
girlfriend was hot? No, sorry. I'm quiet.
But Sharice has not grown. She has not changed at all so far. It's, you know, you still doing the little underhanded passive aggressive things that Kadian was saying, because you had that thing with Kadian where you try to out her on TV. You know, so like Sean said, these are conversations you could have had off camera. Why are we waiting to bring them on camera? But then you want to call Zadia the one who's trying to do things in front of camera. That's trying to do things in front of the group and collective and all this. When that was a simple conversation, you could have just pulled her to the side, regardless if it was on camera or not. You could have pulled her to the side and just spoke with her like, hey, last night when you came in, didn't appreciate it. You didn't say anything. I got up out my sleep and opened the door for you. You didn't say anything. You didn't say thank you. You didn't say nothing like this. You know, she didn't disrespect the rules, the house rules. She didn't bring the man in, so there's no other conversation to really be had. And if you just want to tell her why you don't want the man in the house and you don't want to do it on camera, unmic yourself, have that conversation with her off to the side, or when you know the cameras are totally away, and just explain to her then. But otherwise, have the conversation with her, period, and just let her know this is the reason why I personally don't want men in my space after a certain period of time. Yes, these people are cleared by production. Yes, the house is cleared. But once the cameras go down, once safety is in rule, there's nobody watching. There still needs to be rules in place. These men cleared or not, y'all see how these people be cleared for Ready to Love by itself and still go off the rails there. So the clearance is not, it's not for certain parts of the mental aspect. Let's just be clear on that. It's just for TV purposes.
Jay, what you obviously, we had the same opinion about Sharice last season. It was last few seasons ago, about the situation with Zoe, because it turned into a really big thing, and it was a big argument. You know, a lot of people didn't really see what Sharice was doing wrong, but I feel like it plays. I feel like it did play a massive part in what we're seeing here today. I think it's different now. We ain't got a man, and we've got a woman. I think we can kind of see that kind of behavior that was there with Zoe kind of coming up here. Would you agree?
Definitely. Same as behavior. I mean, we've seen it with Katie and in her behavior The same little thing. She didn't go as hard as Katie and at first. That I think she went with Zoe. And I know people are not going to see it that way because, of course, this is a man coming at a woman, so it's always going to look some type of way. But I always believe that as a woman, sometimes you just have to stand down and hold your ground if you're not prepared to fight. That's just a thing. If you want to fight with a man, fine, go toe to toe, do what you got to do. But when you start saying things or pointing things in people's face, you got to understand some people are not trained that I'm a man, I'm not supposed to touch a woman. Some people are just trained to fight, period. So if you're not trained to fight and you don't want to fight, like she says, I'm too grown for this or whatever to be fighting, then sometimes you just got to stand down and just put anything that presents as a weapon, put it down, walk away. If you're not trying to fight a woman, walk away. Or learn to say your piece in a calmer tone. Because some people don't have that house training as we're just trying to have a conversation. Some people's training is once voices get elevated, fingers is in their face. Take Tammy Roman, for example, back in the day. Once you start putting fingers up in the face, they're trained to go off. Once you start elevating your tone and standing up, people are trained to go off. So if that's not what you want, don't tell people to pull up. Period. Pull up comes in sign languages too. Like, don't put your hands in your face. Don't be clapping. Don't be pointing fingers, all that stuff. Some people will take that as a sign of aggression and attack. Some of us still got natural animal instincts. And most animals, you make eye contact with them for too long. That means aggression, attack. If that's not your goal, your end goal is not to fight. You want to solve something, resolve an issue. Just use your adult voice, use your library voice, and just have a conversation.
Sean, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that Sharice went into this exchange expecting a different outcome. And I think she just started kind of like floundering and going all over the place. And I think that's when you see people have those kind of reactions, in the sense of, oh well, I'm not a fighter, but if I have to, I will. It's like it didn't even need to go there, but you chose to have a more, you chose to go about it the way you went about it. And I think she wanted to have an audience. Somebody kind of mentioned this earlier in the comments. It's like Sharice wanted to bring the fight out in the open, because she wanted to not be accountable either. Because she could just hide behind the fact of, oh, I'm telling my story, I'm telling it in front of everybody. I want to get sympathy, and then allow the things to go a particular way. But because it didn't go that way, now she's switching up tactics, talking about fighting when nobody was even, Zadia was actually very calm. So it's like, why are you talking about, why are you escalating? It's because you're not getting what you wanted. And I think we see this happen, right? And sometimes, unfortunately, in a disagreement where you see the argument isn't going the way you thought it was going to go, and then you start going all over the place, and then you start escalating, and now you're just making it worse. So she really made it worse for herself when she should have just addressed whatever she thought the issue was and allowed Zadia to respond and then just have an exchange. But no, she wants to bring it out in the open. She wants everybody on her side. Now she's flipping it around. Oh, you're being a mean girl. You're being a bully. No, actually, you're being the bully because you're trying to guilt her. You're trying to shame her to an extent. And now you've gone and had a conversation with somebody else to go on your own fact finding mission to expose what you believe needs to be exposed. So it's a lot of different behaviors, and just all ineffective rather, conflict resolution is what it is. It's like the best way to do it is in private, is between the two of them, because the issue just involves you and Zadia. It does not involve the other ladies. And I really don't like this. And I'm going to end here. And I used to say this to a couple of my friends. It's like, well, we'll have a debate. And then they start saying, well, what do you think? And what do you think? I'm like, this isn't a jury trial. I don't need multiple opinions. You know, if you got an issue with what I said, you disagree with what I said, then you tell me what your disagreement is. You don't need to tap other people in. You don't need to pull everybody else's perspective, because now that muddies the waters.
Sean, I agree with that point, and you made me think about that conversation you and I had some while ago. You, me, Black, or whatever, and we was talking about how to maneuver through a relationship with issues and stop letting them compile, because this is what's going to eventually happen in Sharice's relationship. Is the same tactic is going to be applied as I have an issue, I sit on the issues. Then when I start addressing the issues, now I'm going to pile them on because I'm not getting the reaction that I want from you. Even if the reaction is that calm, I hear you reaction of the tone, or it's semi dismissive, but I'm listening, I'm not going toe to toe with you, it's not the reaction she's looking for, you know. And generally, a person that is being, and I'm gonna hate to say this word, but I'm gonna say it, combative, they want a more combative reaction back from you. So, what Sharice is going to first have to learn how to do is to properly communicate with somebody and not listen for combative words or words of aggression to go back at, but actually understand people are responding to her by her being calm and having, you know, proper dialogue, and then not compiling the issues. Just address them one at a time when they come up.
Yeah, that's what you guys addressed there is the pile up. They call it piling up. You know, in a relationship where you compound interest on different topics that you've had within the course of relationship or different disagreements. Um, so it just further exasperates the original argument, because it's not about the original argument anymore. It becomes about a whole bunch of other things as well, which, to be fair, turns arguments into really heated disagreements that usually people say and do stuff which is not, you start to break parts of the relationship in those spaces. So you're absolutely right. And just some of the things that have just because of the way that Sharice is handling it, she doesn't realize that, you know what, you're further exasperating the relationship and stretching the relationship. And by the way, you know, um, maybe Ashley and Vern might not never say this on camera, but the way you're handling it, they're gonna be like, oh, that's how she handles conflict. Okay, I can trust you, but only so far. And a lot of us do that. We do what we call silent judgments, which is, I can be around you, I just know that I can't trust you. Do you know what I mean? So that argument, further in future, the arguments that you have with that person, or even the interactions you have with that person, you only trust them to a certain degree. So that can put a strain on the further relationships around her, which is Ashley and Vern, who are just bystanders at the moment, but will probably try to avoid further interactions where it gets to that space. That means that relationship can never be real, for a long time. So that's also another thing she has to be aware of. Sharice, any final thoughts, you guys, before we jump off?
Real quick, I
Go
wanted
for
to
it.
say, like, you remember last the first episode when I was giving Zadia a little smoke for how she was, I forget the guy she was on the date with, but she was just a little dry with him.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the difference is, and this is why it's, I know we're gonna run this narrative into the
The
ground, and
ground.
Jay
I
don't
know too
get
much,
don't,
Sean.
Jay don't get mad at me, but
Say
that's
it
why it's
again,
so
Sean.
important that you have to be attracted to the person, because you notice that when she was with Cameron, it was like she was so light. Oh, she has such a beautiful smile. The energy was going. She even was like, I appreciated the little silly dumb jokes, and it's such a light thing. But she said it was because I wasn't attracted to him. I'm more attracted to, she was saying she's more attracted to Cameron. And that's why we drive this point home, because when you have that energy and it doesn't have to grow, you're just organically gonna be nicer. You're gonna be lighter. You're gonna treat the person the right, in a nicer fashion. So I just loved seeing that energy that they had in their discourse, together. I don't like his response to her when she asked about previous relationships. And I was like, ooh, that was a little rough. But yeah, no, I wanted to bring that point out about their interaction.
No beef here, Sean. No beef here at all. I told y'all that when I said Unique came at Red, but didn't come at Marvin the same way because it was attraction there or whatever, and it wasn't none for Red. So it's not no beef. Some people are just attracted to safety and money just a little bit more. That's all. So if your money is attracting them, you'll get the same niceness. If your safety is attracting them, you get the same niceness. Sometimes it's not in the beauty. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And sometimes the beholder is beholding your wallets.
I'm not mad at what she said. I do hear that. I'll say it was the last thing, but just really quickly, yes, just quickly on that point though, about the Cameron saying about the relationship. If you guys can just touch on that for just the last few minutes before we do jump off, because I think that's a good place to end on. He told her straight, hey, I don't need to tell you about my past relationships. Do you guys agree? Did he have a right to, do you have a right? Everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do. Do you agree with his sentiments in terms of what he said to Zadia in that moment? I mean, Zadia, I guess the choice was not very much because it's between Jabari and Thingy, where she can't choose Jabari because Jabari's with Benicia. So, but did you agree with his sentiment, or did you disagree with what he said to Zadia about the I don't have to tell you about my past relationships? In a sense, it was very harsh the way he said it, I thought, but don't know if you guys had a thought on that real quick before we go.
So, not gonna argue with you. Okay, you don't have to tell me, but we won't be going far or nothing. For me, that's just personal. To each his own. If some people don't care about knowing about people's past, you'll find your one. Be free to fly.
Sean?
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a red flag in the sense of it seemed like he really had something to hide. And it was like he was just his whole demeanor changed. And for me, what I've learned, especially as we kind of dissect these shows and look at behaviors, when somebody goes from like he just was a very calm, seeming to be very nice guy, right, easygoing, passionate about his career, and then you switch, flip that quick over a question about previous relationships. Yeah, to me that was like, brother, there's something underneath that. There's something that you're hiding, and maybe you're concealing by this nice guy persona that you're putting on. Because why? It wasn't even like she asked it in a like a very pushy kind of like way. It was just like a general question that they spent all this time talking, and that adds context, right? They hung out the night before and they were just talking to the sunset. So yeah, she said, let's kind of like get a little deeper because I'm looking to, take this to the next level. So I want some more questions. I want to really get to know you in a different way. And he was like, nah, I'm good. We don't need to get there. It's like, what? Bro, like, take it easy. You're on a dating show. You're on a dating show where relationships are going to be explored, including your past. What are you hiding, or what is so uncomfortable for you to explore and talk about from your previous relationships that just elicits such a harsh response? So yeah, that was a bit concerning.
Real
Yeah.
quick. No, I was gonna say real quick because I'm reading some of the chat and people are saying it's way too early and this is not a normal setting.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, this is not a one. This is not a normal setting. You're asking me to move in with you in some weeks, yet you won't divulge your past relationships to me. You're not vulnerable enough for me to even move in with you. You're not safe enough for me to even move in with you because I need to know what kind of craziness you've been doing in your past or what kind of craziness you probably dealt with or still dealing with. I don't need a Uche and Lydia situation. I don't know what you talk about. Like, I need to know some details. And if you're not willing to share some of these things, then we're not ready to be in a relationship of any form. That's just how I look at it. Some other people might be saying, yeah, it's way too early. I get you. I get that. For some people, it is way too early, but you're just not my person. That's all that means. And I respect that for you. In time, if you could be around in my life long enough, then maybe we can go there and we can get some particulars about each other. But if you're trying to be my friend, There's some particulars I need to know. I need to know about your name. I need to know about your family. I need to know, there's some things I want to know to have you in my circle for my protection, for my safety, for my sanity, and vice versa. Now, if I'm being closed off with you, but I'm asking you all the things, that's different. But if I'm giving you my information in return out of respect, I would like it back. That's all.
Listen, and for me, I definitely agree with you saying. They spoke all night, and I'm assuming what happened was that I think she brought it on camera because they had spoken all night, and he didn't talk about relationships off camera. So I'm assuming that's why she brought it up as a point of reference, right? And for me personally, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. It's not the end of the relationship or end of the conversation, but it is a red flag, major red flag. Because I'm gonna have to start doing some digging. And I'm gonna have to start doing some unearthing, and I'm gonna have to start breaking down some walls. And I told you that if I said that I don't want to break down women's walls, why would I expect women to break down men's walls? You know what I'm saying to you? Like, I'm not saying that we don't have things that we want to take gradually. And you know, and maybe again, maybe it's just me talking about relationships is of what relationship you've been into. If we're talking all night, I've most definitely spoken to you about what relationships I've had in the past. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Again, it may just be me. I haven't been with any woman that first conversation you're speaking all night, especially when you're speaking all night, they haven't gone to yourself like, so wait, what was your last relationship like? It's just a fascination thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so if we're not having that conversation at the beginning, I'm thinking to myself, what were you talking about? Because most of us talk about those kind of things because that's a whole bunch of conversation. Now, I personally, and this is my own personal opinion, the reason why people don't talk about it on the first base is because there's a guard there. You know what I mean? There's a guard there, which means there's probably deeper issues I gotta go and unearth. And I personally don't want to do it. Personally, get someone else to do it. Me personally. Again, I'm not saying this is general. I'm saying me personally. That's my observation for what I've experienced. If we're talking all night and you haven't discussed anything about your past relationship, I'm gonna be looking at it like, okay, I can talk about sports for a long time. I can talk about everything else, but surely I would have asked you if I'm interested in you. So what's your past relationship like? Oh, what was that like? Have you dated anybody in the past? You know what I mean? Me asking whether you're sexing somebody right now would be a deep question on the first time I spoke to you. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't know. It doesn't have to be a crazy conversation, but it's just a conversation you're having like, oh, what was it like? Okay, oh, cool, sick. You don't have to go into mad details, but yeah, do you know what I mean? I don't know. That's me personally again, and that's the kind of person I am. So I'm not saying it's for everybody. Other people have different ways of doing it. But I felt like that was a red flag. I was like, yeah, that for me, red flag straight away, because there ain't no way that you were talking for all night and you didn't share nothing about relationships. Get the frick out of here. But we'll talk more about this tomorrow night when we have the super panel, because I think it's a good conversation to have. I'll leave it here. Audience, it's been good. It's a good conversation. Whether you agree or disagree, we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Put it in the chat. Put it in the comment section after the video is finished. If you're a replay gang, we want to definitely, definitely want to continue more of these kind of conversations as well. Because I think, I was saying I'm not sure about Ready to Love Move, but when you kind of focus it, I can see a bit more. Someone asked about Married at First Sight. We'll do that on Monday night as well for you guys. I did eventually get to watch it. The episode finally came out for me, so I finally got to watch it. And yeah, when I saw a brother get rejected at the altar, I said they did that boy dirty, but he did. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? But yeah, we'll definitely. So Monday night we'll have Married at First Sight. Sunday we'll have Ready to Move super panel as well. I think we're gonna have Monday night Married at First Sight for the next 2 weeks because we're gonna be in Jamaica Thursday night. I'm not trying to do a live in Jamaica. I won't lie to you guys. Okay, I want to enjoy my time in Jamaica with the people then. So we might do like maybe a midday something, but nothing crazy at night because we gonna be enjoying having some fun. Okay. But yeah, listen, we appreciate y'all. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very soon. I might be on a little bit later before I go out, and we'll have another live potentially because I saw that Samantha came out and said something about how she regrets the Tyrese situation. Well, listen, it's gonna be crazy. So like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button. We appreciate y'all. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very, very soon. we're gonna be out here. Appreciate y'all.